4, 5, 6, 7.
Wake up, motherfucker.
Yo, it's February 26th, 2026. Alrighty. Alrighty. What's up today? What's up today? Let's see. Yeah. Alright. Perfect. So if you shorted in the morning, you would have got something nice for the first hour. That's pretty much good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Um, Bitcoin shorting, not as exciting, sadly. Once the market opened, it only went this far and then it held. So boring. But semiconductors at least did its job. So yeah, a little day trade today. Nothing serious though. Now, the question is this gonna break? Are we going through that yellow area? There's a lot of volume, right? You see this? See this? So let me take away all the drawings here. You see this? This is huge. This is larger than this one here and this one over here. Okay. Pretty much the same volume as this all the way back in September. So, pretty interesting this one right here. It was a red candle, but it held. So it looks like it held in the open. And then this started the long path up right here. So there was a lot of volume for that red candle, but it couldn't get lower than September 3rd's, right? So that's like effort and result. So let me zoom in for you guys. See that? A lot of effort here, but no result. You didn't even get down to this level. The last high volume part the previous day. I don't know what happened here. It was a Friday, so must be something significant in the news that happened this time. But no result, and it just started the next leg up into October. Now we see a lot of volume here, right? Now here in this area, we see a lot of volume coming in. So this whole part here, this whole area at the top, experiencing a lot of volume. All right. So, what's going to be the result? Can anybody tell me? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But from what we gather, it better hold this zone. Otherwise, we're just going to collapse. Red volume mean a lot of dumping? No, it doesn't. That's why I said do not look at that stuff. Don't look at the colors. The colors, that's why I don't tell you even to look at candles. Like, yeah, don't even look at the colors. There's no colors here. Once you start looking at this, you just look at the effort and result. Look at this. So the market opened up and then it pulled back. That's why it's red. That's it. But this is arbitrary, right? This is like I put 78-minute candle. I could put like 10-minute or whatever. It doesn't matter if it's green or red right here. All that matters is what is the price at the end of that candle. Does it go down here or not? Because this was the last green candle up here, and this is what started the next move where we went up in October, and that's how you could tell it was going to be bullish. Here, we're waiting for something to either say, hey, we have a red candle here. If there was a lot of people absorbing it, okay, and to keep it from dropping below 350, then we should see the result in the coming trading days. That means Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, I should see this thing recover and start going to the next new high. If I don't see that, right? If I don't see it, like let's say it just goes barely towards the top of this box and it rolls over, or maybe on Friday it'll just completely collapse and go through this yellow, then more than likely we're just going to start a new downtrend and we're just going to start going down. All right? So if I'm going to be serious about shorting this for more than a day, like I really think this thing is going to go all the way down here or even here, then I need to see that in the next coming days. Right now, we don't know what it is. I don't know who bought it. I don't know. We have to get the order book, right? We have to do that auction market theory stuff. What's up on YouTube? On YouTube. Price dropped 105 cent my limit. Okay. Okay, good job there. You got your extra set of UwU. Hopefully something will happen. I mean, it's just dancing right now. Yeah, we're still dancing. So XOP is dancing above 143 still. It hasn't made its decision, right? So once that's done, we can continue on. So let's see where UwU is at. See, UwU is just going sideways. So my target will be like what? Getting up to 60 something. That'll be the first step. Okay, that's the first step. If everything goes well, then towards next year, you should see 200, 300% gains from where I told everyone to buy it. So around $30. Okay, so it should continue up. All right, so oil is still the name to make. Let's look at some other things. Let's look at some other. Zscaler, I think, is down after market. Duolingo is down after market. So all the software names right now with earnings, bad. Very bad. Okay, very bad. You can see here is trying to defend this area with Zscaler. So that's not good for the software sector. Again, software is still getting beat up. Like, what is this? This area here, it was tested September 24th, almost tested in April last year, and we went under it. And there's a lot of volume coming in. Someone wants to catch this knife right here at this price, right? Very important price. So it could bounce. I don't know, right? It could. There's a good chance it will try, but if next week is the top and we have the lunar eclipse, there's not many days left. Okay, so this thing better rally up. Otherwise, I will expect it to fail in the coming 2 weeks because Nvidia is not helping the stock market. Clearly, that's it. This will be terrible because the only thing holding up the Nasdaq right now is semiconductors, and if semiconductors start going down and this thing breaks this level, right? If we look at the whole ETF, and Palantir has the same shape, right? All these guys have the same shape. They all look the same. So look at that. This is the IGV ETF, and then you have the Duolingo stock, which is worse than the other ones. So people who use this software, I actually mentioned this on one of those John Galt shows. They say, hey, Duolingo looks pretty good, if you want to trade. And that was around what, July, and it did this on earnings. It went down to 147. I think somebody bought it because just because they heard it on John Galt's, and after they bought it there, look how high it went. So it went 148 to like 400. I didn't play this, but I thought it looked like an interesting stock. But yeah, so there you go. It looks interesting now down here for sure. This is extremely oversold. So even though I don't believe at all that Duolingo is going to be a profitable company or whatever, I don't care. I think it's good for a trade because I think a lot of people probably are shorting these type of stocks and they might be wrong, okay, to short down there, all right? Because it's just, if you're going to short it, you have to wait for it to recover a little bit and then short it again. If they overshort this thing, or people who have hedges, right? Let's say somebody bought it here and they got a lot of puts to hedge their position in case it drops. So once it starts unwinding, they'll sell their hedges. So that will cause it to go up too. It doesn't necessarily mean they're short. It's like they bought here, but because they're not sure that it wouldn't drop lower, and it already did, they'll probably take profit on their puts and whatever. Well, yeah, that's all that stuff. And I'll play a video with Samantha. So Samantha has all that stuff talking about options. I'm not an options guru. I don't understand any of that shit. But it does affect how stocks move, though. So you do have to understand that. Do you watch industry? We have 3 months until the end of May. Beware the odds. Okay, sucks to be SaaS. Yeah, it does suck to be SaaS. You think Duolingo, just for a trade, there's potential. The reason I think this is yeah, I'll play that video, Samantha's video. And do you watch industry? No, I don't know what you mean by industry. Who's Samantha? You'll figure it out once I play the video. Okay. That's it. Oh yeah, and Warner Brothers is going to be bought out by Skydance Paramount. So that was just announced after the close. It's finalized. Netflix has pulled out. Netflix went up 10% after the close because if Warner Brothers did not choose them as as the winner of the merger, then Warner Brothers has to pay a fee to Netflix, a punishment fee basically for wasting their time. Netflix is getting almost $3 billion from losing the bid to Paramount. So Paramount's overpaying for Warner Brothers. Netflix got a nice $3 billion anyway with a B. So Netflix is up 10%. So if we look at Netflix's chart, it's also a nasty looking chart. You see? So I think it's going to go up another 10%. It's probably going to kiss this. So maybe if you think Netflix is going to keep going down, let it go up tomorrow, and then you probably want to short it when it hits closer to $90 probably. Uh, who knows, right? World War II, World War III. I mean, World War III will happen or something. Who knows? Maybe you want to short this guy at that price instead of shorting down here, which was the important area. Oh, sorry. Fucking fire trucks always going through here. Anyhow, Netflix is gonna kill Paramount by competing. David Ellison doesn't know what he's doing, and he's gonna burn his father's money. Yeah, he's a nepo baby. Yeah, he's a nepo baby. Funny story about Ellison. So I knew a guy who used to run a liquor store by my parents' house. And he sold it like after COVID. He made a bunch of money after COVID too. So the price of his liquor store went up in value. So then he sold the business. But he told me, yeah, he knew about Ellison because his ex-girlfriend, so he was dating this French chick, and she was pretty wealthy, okay? Because she was married to one of like the top executives of Oracle, and he committed self-deletion. He jumped off a hotel. Um, I don't know. I don't know what they do in Oracle. Did they overwork the guy? But yeah, he jumped off, and so she was telling him about stuff about like Oracle and Ellison, and so yeah, one time I guess Ellison went into this like boutique in San Francisco and just bought up the whole freaking sunglass section. Like he couldn't pick a sunglass, and he just bought the whole damn thing, like whatever they had, and decide later at home or some shit. So that's how rich people are, at that point, right? So only thing we simp here is the bag. Yes. Okay. No simping. Yeah, no simping. Anyhow, what else? Oh, that's about it. CoreWeave was down 10%, so I guess the earnings wasn't good. I guess it's gonna try to test 65. Watch what CoreWeave does at 65, CRWV, because that might tell us where the rest of the AI names might want to go. Because CoreWeave is definitely important for that bellwether. I think this is a good bellwether because it's kind of like, yeah, it's an IPO stock. It got really hyped up on AI. So if this thing fails here, then we know not a lot of people are buying up the AI names anymore. And we'll go into other stocks, right? Like we were talking about steel, copper. So these guys are probably happy. Yeah, copper is recovering. I see silver recovering. I see gold recovering. I don't know, guys. Looks like everybody still wants to get into mining and metals, chemicals. Doesn't seem like yeah. So look at this. This one is the ETF for gold miners. It's already back at the high. So gold miners is outperforming gold itself and silver. So if we just do GDX over GLD, yeah. So yeah, GDX is pretty much looks like it's really recovering a lot faster than anything else. Let's see with the silver. How was that? Yeah, it's doing quite well. So out of GDX, out of silver, it looks like very nice recovery on the miners. So the miners are outdoing the actual metals themselves, right? So that's it. That's it. The problem is that like silver and gold aren't gonna get there this year. That's why I don't care about that. What you want to care about is copper, nickel, the base metals, not the precious metals. Silver, copper, they're stuck here. This is a significant. I don't buy shit that's gonna go sideways because I doubt it's gonna break this yellow area. Gold is just gonna go zigzag, zigzag, zigzag between like 4,500 and 5,000. I don't want to be here. As much as I would like it to help out the miners, no. The real aces here will be aluminum, especially with war. Aluminum will be the one. So we're not talking about precious metals. I don't care what Ghost said. Ghost probably whatever. I don't know what kind of charts he looks at. I just look at the charts. I don't go sideways. I don't go things that go sideways. I'm not gonna be stuck in something that is not gonna do anything for a year, right? Because you could have been in lithium last year, and if you were in lithium, you went nowhere. So this is lithium from April. So let's say I bought lithium, right, in here. I went down, I went back up, I went down, I went back up, I went down. That was your life in lithium. Now lithium is good. See? So end of 2025 going to 2026. This is the year of lithium, right? So yeah, and definitely oil too. So anything with energy, nuclear, right? With uranium, definitely. So GEV is one of the things I put in that boomer stock. So it already had earnings. It's doing great after since earnings. Perfect. So this guy is doing good. GEV, GE Veranova. They do infrastructure work for nuclear plants. All right. And then after that, we look at new uranium mining. So this one, let's see if this thing can recover. Then, yeah, sure, I'll recommend uranium mining. It's definitely nice to buy at 50 down here, right? But is it going to go any higher? That's the question. Then 70 or 80, I don't know. So yeah, that's something we'll have to look at as well. Anything? No, I don't think so. What's the other one? What's the other one? What's the other one? Exos. Okay, body camera. Yeah, body camera. Definitely. They do drones as well. So Exos. Damn, did I misspell it? Oh my god. Man, it's supposed to be Axon. All right, I have to go to the description and change all the descriptions. So this is after earnings right here. It's up 26% from this bottom. You see that? It went right back to this line. So this is the weekly chart, right? So you'll see this, I think, a lot. A lot of charts where you see this, they break away from that purple line, they'll come right back to that purple line. So you look at Duolingo and Zscaler. I'm not saying these companies are good, right? But I think like they at least have to retest and touch that purple line eventually. So yeah, they can be a quick trade you can make. I think Axon is more of a recoverable play because if this thing can hold this and go sideways this year, this will continue going up probably um, late this year into early next year, I think. So we're gonna have drones and stuff. So that's how it is. So I think that'll be good. So anyway, yeah. I have to change all these descriptions now. Okay, let me go in here. Exxon. Okay. Exxon. All right. Exxon. All right. All right. Oh, darn it. StreamYards won't let me edit it while it's running. Oh well. Oh well. I guess I can't do nothing. I guess I'll have to edit it once the stream is done. That's lame. All right. Oh, I hate mistakes. Anyhow, can't do nothing about it. Okay, what else we got? Key side. Yeah, we're gonna. This one's very good too. Okay, that's done. Let's see what RX had earnings. This one's a tough one. Usually, when it goes below this $6 area, I'm looking for a place to buy it because once it bottoms out and tries to recover, and then maybe it can get through into here again, then it quickly can go up to $14 again. This is not a serious thing I would trade though. RX used to be funded by Nvidia. Nvidia used to buy shares of it. Nvidia used to buy the shares of a lot of companies. APD was another one. What was that? APD? No, it was ADP. No, it wasn't ADP. It was some kind of data processing blah blah blah. It was AD something. I don't know. ADPD, APD. No, it's not. It's like none of this. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, so Nvidia was spending a lot of money trying to fund all these small companies that were using AI. I think they pulled out of almost nearly all of them. Okay, here's another semiconductor one. NVTS. It's a risky one. Okay, it moves like this is a bipolar madness stock. It's not very comfortable to hold, I suppose, but if it can break out of 10 and not do this again, so if it actually breaks out and doesn't do this, maybe this time we can go towards $30. No clue here though. It's really speculative. I mean, you can see the history, very low volume. All this is low volume, and then only recently, since this earnings here, Monday, May 25th, we got something. I'm trying to remember what exactly is the niche product this one does. It does some niche product. So, yeah, this is wild. But it already had earnings, so it's definitely trying to stay above 10. I'll see what happens when the market goes down. So once the market goes down, watch this guy. See if it actually tries to hold $5, $6. If it can actually hold 10 while the rest of the market is dying, then this will probably be a great buy. Okay, somebody's trying to hold it at 10, then that's significant. So watch $10 on this one. See if anybody wants to keep it close to $10. So somewhere between 6 and 10, right? Like at least it's trying to stay around here. But again, 6 and 10 is very volatile because if you buy it at 10 and it drops to 5 or 6, it's like, dude, bro, I lost half my half my capital there. So maybe options is better for this thing. I'm sure. So if options are cheap, that's the question. I have no idea. Okay, so let me play the Samantha LeDuc stuff, and you can watch it. So this is Samantha. All right, guy, bro, idiot. This is Samantha. So I usually recommend her for most things.
This short clip is from my live trading room.
Okay, that's Samantha. All right, so you can go to Samantha LeDuc's YouTube channel, LeDuc Trading. So let me. So I usually recommend her for people who are wealthy. So if you have a lot of money and can pay for her services, I think you're better off listening to her than listening to me because you have a lot of money to manage. But you don't want to pay an advisor to um, pay a higher priced advisor, then go to her. She's a lot cheaper, but you can do stuff yourself if you choose to. So that's probably better. All right.
You can engage.
All right. So I'm going to go forward, and go to three
IGV would be
minutes. Okay, 3 minutes.
my kind
here.
of
Okay, here.
right here. So that's what I'm looking for, and I just wanted to set that up. I also grabbed, in addition to my kind of keep going to this growth value ratio, I want to remind, I said protect the value plays. I think they can go sideways. Software can have a little bounce. I still think it'll be a bull trap. Volatility comes in.
Okay, you heard that? She thinks there's going to be a bounce, but she thinks it's a trap, right? So if anybody's thinking of shorting Palantir or any of those stocks I mentioned, like Duolingo and all that, yeah, no, this is not the time to short because she'll explain it here.
In later towards mid-March. That's what I see from the charts. So then I have to go find evidence. Iran escalation. Some are very worried about weekend risk next week, the holiday, etc. I still don't see it in the charts. I could be wrong, but I don't see it in the charts right now. I see this bounce then trounce. Okay, so I'm trying to clarify. I grabbed this. Charlie McElligott of Nomura talks about how these basically cheap right tail calls, and that means oversold software. They've been selling calls, buying puts. Now if that starts to reverse after this heavy deleveraging and degrossing of the NASDAQ plays, while they've been hedging, which bids up the VIX, we've seen this can be quickly unwound on select oversold issues. And by quickly, I mean those overwritten calls, you know how you sell calls and buy puts? They could be forced into this covering. So the puts start to bleed as the underlying bounces, and then they cover, and that adds more fuel. They cover the short, in essence, and the folks get stopped in on those sold calls. And I talked about this yesterday morning, and I wrote this up because I think it matters. It's good for chasers. If you are chasing or you have too close near duration hedges, you'll get some better pricing in a few days, potentially this week and next week. I'll be monitoring that, but the point is this dispersion index that I showed you also, I took this from the 21st. It's a few days old, but we reached up into the October 1010 highs near the April lows where the dispersion of NASDAQ was so overbought or elevated compared to the dispersion of SPX that I thought it noted that it was a likely contender for coming back in. All right, there's my...
Okay, so that's a bit to take in there, but in summary, everybody's overhedged. So if they see any form of recovery, right, we could have it where like there is a fake drop, just like Bitcoin. I said like there's potential, right? It could just drop to 50,000, freak people out, and then it'll trap a bunch of people because they'll come in and they think like it's over, the sky is falling. They'll get trapped down there because people will start shorting late in the game. They should have been shorting up here, okay, or at least up here in October, where I was shorting MSTR up here down into there. This was the better short. And then the second leg was January into right now. And there'll be people that will think like, oh shoot, it's dropping below 60K. I'm going to decide to try and ride the trend down, but it won't go very far and it'll reverse very quick. I think there'll be a nice little trap made right here for people. And the same thing I think will happen with software. So if you look at Palantir, right, similar looking shape, right? You have this. It looks perfect for a drop down to $60, but it probably won't happen. It probably won't. It'll just be like a fake out. It'll probably go below 120 something, right? Maybe it'll go to 115 or maybe even 100. People will short in this zone. And then when it starts reversing, they'll panic and and go the other way. They'll start buying it back up, and then they'll be like, shoot, and that'll give enough energy for it to try to get back to 160. And that'll trick people again, because then the real crash will probably happen in May. Okay? So something like that. So it might be, this year could be the most fun year for trading if you do it right. That's about it. How much does it cost to short? It depends on what you use. If you're using options, it's a lot different than getting a margin account and directly shorting shares, right? So for people, the other way is to just use leverage ETFs, which this is what I do, because I don't want to learn options. So you just do this. You just buy this PLTZ, Okay, so if you wanted to short Palantir with us, this is what you use. So I was in here during this move, right? So PLTZ is the short, and then you can reverse it and go the other direction, and PLTX or U or something like that. Yeah, this is okay. Hold on. I don't want to use that. Like, what's the other? PLTZ is short. What the heck? So this company doesn't offer 2x bull Palantir. Oh, they only offer PLTZ, huh? Okay, well, if you have to use PLTU then from Direxion, and so you can 2x leverage the other direction using this one, so that's fine. And you could short Bitcoin using MSTR short, so you can use so this is the actual stock itself, and then if you want to short it, MSTZ for short. Okay, so this is the one you'll use for short, and then MSTX for long. Okay, going the other direction. Okay, so make sure you read everything. Okay, read the fine print. Make sure you bought the right stock when you're doing. I thought about last night, if I get a bunch of capital, I won't have to flip real estate or manage property. Yeah. Stocks have that benefit. That's the reason I'm in it. I don't do real estate. I hate having to deal with property or think about managing something that's real. This thing is just simple theory, right? All you're doing is just looking at people's psychological behavior in an abstract sense, right? These lines are just people's psychologies in an abstract sense. I don't need to actually have to worry about real life people. If I actually had to do that, then I would just start a business instead of letting someone else. Think of it this way: you're just letting someone else run the business for you, and then you're just making money off of them. So if you trade or invest in stocks, that's what you're essentially doing, or bonds. Same thing, right? You buy their bond, you're basically giving them credit, so they have to pay you interest. So they take care of the business for you. That thing. When you get rich enough, all you do is buy bonds. You're not going to play this with equity. So you get that passive, like you can buy Apple bonds, right? I don't know, 5-year, 10-year Apple bonds, and then you get paid like, if you get like a very good, high quality bond at the right time, interest is probably 8% you can get from Apple if you bought it at the right time. I think, yeah, now interest rates have been high. You probably could get 8% on an Apple stock, but usually probably not, because companies with lower credit ratings, they have to pay you even higher interest. Those are the junk bonds, and usually you just look at the junk bonds to see if they fail. So you're basically buying a bond from probably a stock like RXRX. So maybe RXRX, its stock looks like this, it looks like shit. Then this thing is probably, mid cap, small cap, has no profit, really risky. It could go bankrupt at any moment if the economy goes down. Then yeah, they'll probably pay you 20% interest on a bond, but maybe those are hard to get. Someone has to sell you all that, and usually those bonds, they have to sell you in big lots, so you have to buy a lot of the bonds. You can't just buy one certificate of it or whatever they call it. Yeah, coupon. Yeah. Anyhow, okay. What else? WGS. Oh, my favorite. So if this thing drops below 75-ish, I said, like, I would buy it at 40 just for the fun of it. It's very risky. I don't recommend it for anyone, but let's say the market does a false crap out, the NASDAQ falls, this thing falls with it. I'm sure if I can get it at 40, hell, if this thing actually drops to 30 on a panic, I'm scooping this one up. So yeah. So that's why we have to get prepared, we have to get prepared for all these eventualities. Okay, let's put on the music. Let's read some articles. 50%. Okay, we have enough time here. 30 minutes. Good. Good. Let me see. Oh. Alrighty. Close out this, free up some memory. Okay, let me get some more stuff to upload. Good, let's get that going. Okay, so this is looking at the Bitcoin 60-minute cycle chart here. So let's see what this gives. Okay, we should be topping out sometime Friday into Saturday. Okay, that'll be the top, and then we'll just start sliding down again. If that's the case, next week on Monday, if we have a drop sometime Monday, Tuesday, okay, or even Sunday night going into Monday, I don't know, I would buy it, right? So that's a game plan. Look at it going towards 60 and maybe even 50,000. If it does that, yes, go long, because then we can ride it up into tax season. All right, because this is where the cycles look like right now. It looks pretty good. So any panic, if people think the world's collapsing, yes, we will buy it. Now let's look at let's see, the semiconductor. So looks like it's following this pretty well. I think this is one of the main cycles we got going now. Okay, so we're gonna go back up into March 3rd. So maybe here, somewhere around March 3rd, that will be the top. Looks like here, yeah, okay. But if nothing happens, then wait for next weekend. All right. So maybe the war with Iran will start next weekend, because I got some videos showing a lot of F-22s flying out of the UK. There's a shitload of F-22s flying out. So if it's not this weekend, it'll happen next weekend. Don't the big boys already have all the psychological game theory built in? So retail trading is just trying the game of the dummies. So yes, so our job is to just beat the dummies. We cannot beat the people that already have the power to control the news. That's why I don't look at the news. The news is for the useless eaters. All you have to do is to be better than the average bear, and you should be able to make money, because there's a lot of crumbs, because there's a lot of, the market is so huge that the big boys aren't going to be trying to efficiently grab all the profit from trading, right? There's going to be inefficiencies. You yourself can get those inefficiencies. What you're doing, this is what Wyckoff was telling people, was that you just follow the big boys. So the big boys are like the big sharks, the big whales in the sea. You just follow them and eat their crumbs. That's it. As long as you just follow next to them, you won't get eaten, right? That's it. It's just like those menorahs or whatever, those fish that just stick on the shark and just eat all their food when they're done eating. That's us. That's basically us. We're following the big boys. Okay? We don't want to be the food. That's it. And that's all you got to do, and you'll win over time. You just got to be patient. All right? You don't have the power of insider trading like they do. You don't have the power of like avoiding the SEC slapping your wrist for manipulating gold and silver. You don't have those tools. You don't have the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and all the news outlets to release so-called rumors. So all you're doing is just trying to see, this is what that big guy's about to do. That's what Wyckoff called the composite man, the operator. So he called it like that. You can call it the small hats or whatever. That's up to you. All you got to do is just follow them and grab that money. That's it. Because the money's right in front of you. Just take it. That's all you got to do. Yeah, and so I'm not trying to beat them. I'm not going to go and work at Quant and try to be Sam Bankman-Fried and try to be clever, or Martin Shkreli. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be clever, because the clever guys get attention, And then you get scapegoated as the evil bad boogeyman. Sam Bankman-Fried is like a small timer. Like Martin Shkreli is a small timer. These guys, they did the same thing as any of those big guys do, but like you don't have the resources and connections to keep yourself shielded, then yeah, you're gonna be used as a scapegoat if you get caught doing the naughty, which they do all the time. So anyhow, so this is what we're gonna look at here. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on March 3rd. That's where the lunar eclipse will happen. So yeah. Okay. Just gonna read some of the articles. Oh, let's talk about women's menstruation cycles here. Like, why are we going to talk about that? Because we're going to talk about the moon again. This is the moon. Okay, you are now entering the puts crash window. So I talked about this tweet like a couple streams ago, I think. Yeah. What are the odds that 8 of the greatest market crashes in history would all occur? Okay, would all occur within 6 days before to 3 days after a full moon that fell within 6 weeks of a solar eclipse. According to Steve Putz, the probability is so small that it stands out as a statistical anomaly, ultimately leading him to define what is now known as the Putz crash window. Okay, so right now, this Putz crash window aligns in 2026. We saw the solar eclipse on February 17th, which will be followed by a full moon and total lunar eclipse on March 3rd, 2026. Under Putz's framework, the idealized market peak would have occurred 2 to 4 days before the eclipse full moon, placing the expected high between February 27th, okay, and March 2nd. So there's go. If that's true, then where's the high at? That March 2nd is Monday. February 27th is Friday, and we got the weekend in between. So it's either Friday or Monday where you're going to be thinking, all right. So if it happens Friday, then maybe there's war on the weekend. But if there's nothing happening over the weekend, then maybe it'll be Monday, and we'll have a high then, huh? So watch out. Let's see. The final trading sessions before the lunar eclipse trigger date. So there we go. So this is an older article from Bloomberg where they interviewed Putz, this guy who came up with this. Okay, so this was superstitious stock traders beware of an eclipse crash. This was August 18th, 2017. Nothing happened in 2017. All right. Bored traders with too much computer power have found the key to the next stock market crash, the solar eclipse. Fed up with political dramas that can be tough to trade on, some have turned their attention to an obscure theory that says market reversals tend to begin around the time of a lunar eclipse and end around the time of a solar eclipse. In emails with colleagues and friends, traders are sharing links about the superstitious hypothesis, joking possibly that Monday's total eclipse of the sun could help make sense of the market's recent slip. Some blogs refer to the idea as the Putz crash window, though the researcher often credited with coining the concept. Steve Putz said he became interested after reading about it following Black Monday in 1987. Not every eclipse turns into a crash, said Putz, who is retired in Hawaii and spends his time studying cycles. You need a bubble to have a crash. But when a bubble forms, they tend to crash near the time of a lunar eclipse. And we do have an AI bubble, don't we? Yeah, we got some memory prices that are pretty high, don't we? I mean, NVIDIA went down because all the GPU prices were probably too bubbly as well. The gamers don't want to pay for those GPUs. Actually, what games would you actually play on the most advanced GPUs nowadays? Aren't people just playing like easy to run Roblox games now? All the Zoomers are just playing something like that. Like what kind of like high-end games are people playing? I see more people playing remakes of the old games, so remasters and things. Do they take that much computing resource? Interesting. Betting markets say not likely until end of March. So that's what the crowd says, huh? Yeah, that's what the crowd says. Good to know. Yeah, so we'll see. He emphasized that he is not contending that full moons close close to solar eclipses cause market crashes, but he does conclude that a full moon in general and a lunar eclipse full moon close to the solar eclipses in particular seem to be the triggering device that allows for the rapid transformation of investor psychology from manic greed to paranoia. Haven't a lot of the Boyd people been crashing out? Right? A lot of people have been crashing out, going crazy. I wonder why. There's something wrong with their psychology, with people right now. He asks what the odds are that 8 of the greatest market crashes in history would accidentally fall within a time period of 6 days before to 3 days after a full moon that occurred within 6 weeks of a solar eclipse. His answer is that for all 8 crashes to accidentally fall within the required intervals would be 0.23 to the power, basically raised, okay, to the power of 8 power, raised to the 8 power less than 1 chance in 1,270, okay, 127,000. All right, that's it. So astronomical. Yep, Ruby was tweaking today. Yeah, she's been tweaking for quite since Lent. All right. Puts, who has no idea why this may occur, pointed out that the Dow Jones Industrial Average hit a record high on August 7th, the same day there was a lunar eclipse. Seasonality and consumer sentiment may also come into play, he said. One factor he doesn't pay attention to, though, is headlines. I sort of discount the news, he said Friday in a phone interview. Even when there is like positive or negative news, a day or two later, the market would rebound. That's true. It's just noise, depending on whether it's in a bullish or bearish trend. Sometimes Puts gets emails from traders who want to learn more about the theory, especially when an eclipse is about to happen, he said. In an Amazon review of a book Puts wrote, one person said they bought it to use for trading. I wanted to see how well these theoretical cycles could hold up to actual stock market behavior. The result? Surprisingly well, they wrote. Another reviewer recommended avoiding the book and said much of it was based on generalities and not objective science. It may not make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but I'm more of a statistician, Putz said about the eclipse phenomenon. It just happens an unusually large amount of times, and I can't explain it, but it seems to be significant. All right, so, and I think that's what how you should treat cycles. I have no clue why it follows a certain cycle. You know, Bitcoin was designed to follow 4 years, though. You know, though every time it has a halvening cycle, it's around 4 years, and the way it's designed when it was initiated was it was close to an election cycle. So it was designed pretty much to roughly have 4 years in between each halving cycle. And for some reason, they decided to have it close to an election, like within a month or so. So it wasn't by accident they chose Bitcoin to work that way. All right. So it follows the US election cycle. You got that. And I'm pretty sure they know about human psychology. Okay, so everyone gets wild during elections, don't they? And then, yeah. All right, we'll see how this goes. I think this will be good here. So let's go and look at some more articles here. So let's look at women's periods. And see, so this is kind of like one of those things that happens often enough that you kind of wonder how does that affect, you know, the broader society, right? This stuff is very important. I mean, back in the old days, I think they tried to hide women who were on their periods. They just stuff them in a hut somewhere, right? And say, go away. All right. Why women's periods once synced with the moon and what changed? Many animal species have mating cycles that synchronize with specific phases of the moon, either full or new moon. Women's menstrual cycles are roughly as long as a lunar cycle. However, there is little evidence of an actual correlation between them. A recent study published in Science Advances examines 24 years worth of menstrual records for lunar menses associations. In many animals, mating behavior follows repeating cycles like the lunar cycle, which may optimize reproductive success by increasing the number of potential mates available at the same time. In women, those whose menstrual cycles last about one lunar cycle, 29.5 days, show the highest pregnancy rates. In this group, menstruation tends to begin more often at the full moon, suggesting that ovulation typically occurs near a new moon. The same authors have previously demonstrated in a 32-year menstruation study that cycle length declines with age. Their analysis of all menstrual data in circular plots also revealed that women with lunar-like cycle lengths often experience months at a time when menstruation begins in a bimodal pattern, clustered around either the full moon or the new moon. Other studies, all based on data collected before 2000, also found similar patterns, with menstruation sometimes starting around the full moon or midway through the waxing phase. This suggests that moonlight may act as a Zeitgeber. Okay, so Zeitgeber. I think you can look this up. There's a whole bunch of articles about this theory here. An external cue that weakly influences menstrual rhythms. At the same time, human reproduction may be driven by an internal clock that tracks the lunar cycle independently of moonlight exposure. In contrast, more recent studies that relied on cell phone track data failed to find such correlations. To address this, the current study extended the research into the 21st century, testing menstrual lunar synchronicity, or synchrony with the full and new moon phases and 2 additional gravitational cycles of the moon. Okay, this is key. So now they're going to study the gravitational cycles of the moon. And the gravity has a different cycle that's beyond just 27 to 29 days. The moon follows 3 short cycles. The synodic cycle, lasting about 29.5 days, is the time between the new and full moons. It reflects 2 syzygies, whatever this is, when the moon, earth, and sun are in a straight line, producing changes to both moonlight and the gravitational pull on earth. Oh yeah, I forgot to put a disclaimer on the screen. Anybody that believes in flat earth, get out of here. Okay, get out. You're not gonna like what I say. Makes sense. Spud was tweaking last night. Hey, Gobbity. Hey, all my English cohorts. Yes, what's up? Yeah, everyone's tweaking, right, at the same time. Okay, the anomalistic month, about 27.6 days long, okay, measures the moon's movement from the nearest point to Earth, perigee, to the farthest point, apogee, in its elliptical orbit. The tropical month, or lunar standstill cycle, lasts around 27.3 days and is driven by the angle of the moon's orbit relative to the Earth's equator. This causes the moon to shift north and south in the sky over the year. The anomalistic and tropical months affect gravity, but have a lesser effect on moonlight intensity. These cycles interact with seasonal events. Tides become stronger when lunar standstills coincide with the syzygies at the winter and summer solstices. The effect is the greatest at the winter solstice, when the Earth is at perihelion between January 2nd and 6th each year, and the sun's gravitational pull adds to the moon's. In addition, 2 longer gravitational rhythms lasting 18 years each, this is the one we'll cover next, occur because of interactions between the moon's and the Earth's orbit. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. I don't think I'll read any more of this. I think that paragraph was probably the only one I found really interesting here. Now, menstrual cycles lasting 26 to 36 days were more likely to align, at least intermittently, with the synodic cycle, the new to full moon cycle, even after age 35. Very short, so less than 27 days, or very long, greater than 33 days cycles show only relative coordination, a weaker kind of synchronization in which cycles occasionally align with the lunar rhythms, but often ran freely on their own. The study defined entrainment ranges as 26 to 36 days for the synodic month and 24 to 31 days for the anomalistic month, and 23 to 30 days for the tropical month. Okay, so that might be interesting to some of you. Let's see. And usually, shorter cycles, you probably can find articles on this. Shorter cycles are bad. So they cause a lot of stress in people. So if people get less than 27 days between their cycles, you're going to see them go cray pretty soon. Yeah, that might be fun to research sometime later as we continue. Now, how does that affect men and all that? I don't know. I've definitely seen men have quote unquote periods. So if you study Boyd, you probably see it as well, pretty clearly. So yes, men do have some kind of period, but it doesn't follow this. It follows something else. Let's see what that possibly could be. In some other stream, maybe I'll find something about that. But let's look at all the cycles we could possibly have here. So we have. Okay, the gravitational rhythms of the sun and moon upon the earth, so I use the damn AI for this, often called lunisolar tides or gravitational tides, are characterized by cycles ranging from hours to thousands of years. These forces affect not only the oceans, oceanic tides, but also the Earth's crust, terrestrial tides. Oh, interesting. And biological activity, of course. So semi-diurnal tidal cycle, approximately 12 or 24 hours. As Earth rotates on its axis, coastal locations pass through two tidal bulges, one facing the moon and one opposite, resulting in 2 high tides and 2 low tides per day. And then we have the spring tide cycle, about 14.77 days, occurs twice monthly during the new moon and full moon when the sun, earth, and moon are aligned. So we kind of mentioned that in the previous article. Their combined gravity creates the highest tidal range. Okay, so similar things down here. Perigee, epigee cycle, 27, so we know that. Synodic month, okay. Tropical month, yeah, kind of mentioned in that other article. Okay, perihelion, aphelion cycle. Earth's distance from the sun changes when Earth is closer to the sun. Perihelion around January 2nd, also mentioned in the previous cycle. So now we're going to go on to talk about these long-term orbital and precessional cycles. Nodal precessional cycle, 18.6 years. Okay, so the real estate cycle is an 18.6 cycle. So is there a relationship here? I don't know. Maybe. There's an apsidal cycle, precession cycle. Okay, 8.85. The orientation of the moon's ecliptical orbit rotates over this period, altering which seasons coincide with the closest approach of the moon. The Milankovitch cycle, 10,000s to 100,000s of years. Long-term changes in Earth's tilt and orbit shape and wobble. So obliquity, eccentricity, precession, which are influenced by the gravitational pull of the sun and moon over thousands of years. Okay. All right. Yes. So a lot of things to cover then. Right. Let's see. I can finish this up. Okay. All right. I'll change up the music a bit. Precession. Yeah, precession takes a while. So the North Star changes over time. So right now the North Star is essentially in Polaris. It used to be some other stars. Sometimes there will be no North Star. Buying large purchases based on time of month crack. Yeah, the thing about gobbledygook, like when you get a 401k, they know every 2 weeks, usually if you're salary, right? If you get paid salary, usually it's every 2 weeks you get paid. And then that Friday that you get paid, they take that cash and they buy stocks in your mutual fund or whatever fund you have in your 401k on that Friday, right? So usually that's why I say Friday is the worst time to do anything, because they give you the worst price, all right? So the money makers know that all these 401k funds have to buy at close on a Friday. So they'll give you the worst price. So they'll give you the most expensive price probably that Friday every 2 weeks when you have salary. So that's another thing too. And they probably sync it up with the lunar cycles as well. I'm sure they do that. They probably know everything. Anyhow, I remember hearing a podcast where someone speculated menstruation and lunar cycles help hominids form abstract pattern recognition. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt there's some connections there. I thought the pattern recognition was hypothesized to harken back to our lemur type ancestors. I suppose they menstruated too. Yeah, yes. We got to go to Madagascar and find those lemurs and study them. Hey, now that felt like a jab at me. Oh, okay. I don't know. Did I say something or someone else in chat? Wait, so what you're saying, or what this article is saying, is that women who have periods with less time between each period have more mental issues and deal with more stress. None of these articles talk about it, but I have read, yes, that is what happens when they have less than the optimal. So if their cycles do not like happen to be around 29 days to 30 days, yeah, they usually have worse mental health. That's what they found. Buying a large person. Okay, yeah, read that. I think the idea was early humans would notice the same approximate length of lunar and menstrual cycles and start looking to other cycles. Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, there's always going to be something. So, women and the lunar cycle are intrinsically linked. That makes sense. I mean, they might have used to be intrinsically linked, right? Because now we have artificial light, and you already see articles about artificial light messing up with birds. Birds are chirping in the middle of the night because all these LED lights are so bright, and they have a heavy blue spectrum. So the blue side of the spectrum is heavily hit. You can also look at people selling these glasses where people, if you sit in a screen too long, they say like you're supposed to wear these glasses to protect you from the blue light. I don't know if there's anything about blue light that has permanent damage to someone, but you know, it could be a scam, right? People just want to sell these stupid little glasses to filter out extreme blue wavelengths from your LCD monitors. I don't know, but definitely people know that having bright backlights will create issues when you try to sleep, so it messes with your REM, all that. Yeah, I was thinking about seeing a snake in a tree or ripe fruit. Yes, of course. Okay, let's read this article. Let me change the music. I'm gonna try this new one here. Okay, this will be more relaxing. Oh, okay, very good. I'm less stressed now. Reading all this stuff really stresses me out, guys. So, and yeah, please subscribe to the Be Better Network, Universal Jones's thing on his channel. We're gonna cover more about Boyd and psychology. And Napstar at I Need a Bong Hit, ANIDABONGHIT, okay, on YouTube. And we had a nice little panel last weekend, so the link is in the banner if you're interested. Yeah, we had Tina there and TK on there, so that was fun. The moon's nodes and climate change sea rise, level rise, part 2. Rising sea levels are in our present and in our future due to the little-known effects of the moon's orbital tilt and the precession of the orbital nodes. All right, so there we go. Hopefully, when I continue, you won't start flipping out here. Don't be thinking I'm gonna be talking about like climate change or anything. All right, okay. Let's repeat it. Due to little known effects of the moons, it's not really little known. I mean, NASA knows about this. Any scientist probably like knows about this shit. Come on. Of the moon's orbital tilt and the precession of the orbital nodes, we are in the middle of a 9.3 year dampening of the sea level rise and currently see little to no rise. But in 2026 to 2035, so this article is written in 2021, all right? So we're in it. 2026 to 2035, we enter a 9.3 year long enhancement of sea level rate of rise, and we'll see approximately 4 inches permanent rise. So let's review part 1. I'm not reading part 1. It's pretty basic stuff. Okay, the moon's gravitational pull creates a bulge in the ocean. Inertia in the water creates another bulge on the opposite side of the planet. The rotation of the Earth causes these bulges to move around the globe once per day. The additional gravitational pull from the sun at new moon and full moon causes the monthly cycle of highest highs and lowest lows in the daily tide. The elliptical orbit of the moon around the Earth causes supermoon at perigee and micromoon at apogee. The elliptical orbit of the Earth around the sun causes annual highest and lowest tides centered on the January 4th perihelion and annual most moderate tides at aphelion 6 months later. Okay, now we got a picture. Okay, here. So that's the path of the moon. So the moon's in yellow here for some reason. All right. And it doesn't line up with the sun, you see. If it did line up with the sun, then we would see eclipses all the time. So if this circular path was exactly the same as the sun's path, we would see eclipses pretty frequently. But because of this tilt, we don't. Sometimes they line up and sometimes they don't, right? Okay, so that explains that part of things for you. The moon's tilted orbit and the nodes. The moon's orbit is not only an ellipse with the Earth at one focus, it is tilted at 5.14 degrees to the ecliptic, the plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun. A total solar eclipse can occur when the moon is between sun and Earth, but usually doesn't because the moon is above or below the plane of the ecliptic. We see it pass above or below the sun, and its shadow does not touch the Earth, thus no eclipse. Okie dokie. Okay, but there are 2 points where the moon's orbit passes through the plane of the Earth's orbit. These are called the moon's north and south nodes. If you're an astronomy professional or amateur or a professional astrologer, you know about the nodes. Otherwise, probably not. Imagine a dinner plate lying on a table with a larger hoop surrounding it. If both are lying flat on the table, they're in the same plane. Tilt the hoop slightly, imagine the descending half passing downward through the table, and now their planes intersect at only 2 points, which are the nodes. All right? So descending node, ascending mode, okay? There you go. So only 2 places where you get your nice little eclipses. In the above figure, the yellow circle in the plane of the ecliptic and the path the sun appears to move through as the Earth circles the sun. The blue circle is the moon's orbit. At the ascending north node, the moon's path moves north of the ecliptic. At the descending south node, the moon's path moves below the ecliptic. The angle between these 2 planes, ecliptic and moon's orbit, is always 5.14 degrees. Okay, so it's going up, it's ascending, then now it's going down, descending. Okay, that yellow circle ellipse. All right, I'm not going to say circle here, otherwise people are just going to yell at me for that. Okay, solar and lunar eclipses occur only when the moon's orbit falls exactly between the Earth and sun, and the 2 nodes are the only places where that can occur. Thus, total eclipses of the sun or moon can occur only when the moon is passing through the north node or south node at the same moment that the Earth, moon, sun are in a direct line or syzygy. Okay, they spelled this word differently in this article, and I still can't pronounce it. Whatever, syzygy, whatever. Because of this, the technical term for supermoon is perigee syzygy of the Earth, moon, sun system. Okay, the 2 nodes are always opposite one another, but are not fixed relative to the constellations. The nodal points slowly circle the Earth, moving backwards through the zodiac, the 12 constellations lying on the plane of the ecliptic, over an 18.6 year period. For example, a node moves backwards through Virgo, astrological sign 6, for 1.5 years, then enter Leo, sign 5, and move slowly backwards through that constellation for 1.5 years, and so on through the 12 constellations of the zodiac. As the timing of the nodal cycle intersects with eclipses, perigees, and perihelions, all of which affects the tides, the movement of the nodes also affects the height of the tides over an 18.6 year period. So, would you think that astrology was based on some kind of science before? Do you think the gravitational pull of the alignment of the moon, the sun, and the earth together causes biological effects in humans? You know, that's why they always talk about sun signs, moon signs. Maybe it was based on some kind of truth before, and now it's just like nonsense, right? But it was based on something at one point. Perhaps the aliens who gifted us, the Anunnaki who told us about science or things like that, told us these things, and then we just perverted it into like magical, mystical, mystery bullshit. Who knows? Something we gotta talk about. A 4-inch bulge doesn't sound like much. Well, it's a lot for climate, all right, man. and go tell that to New Orleans, bro. Yeah. I did read an old book, Eric W., about ancient astronomy. I got it from the library. Now I forgot what the name of that book is. So maybe I'll make a note. I will try to search for this book again. All right. It was a pretty damn good book. And they all talked about like ancient astronomy. So how the Mayans would always look at Venus, how the ancient Pueblo people in Southwest USA were looking at certain stars and things. And then like the way they would construct their stone circle encirclements around their pueblos were lining up to, certain astronomical events. Yeah, definitely. The old apes definitely were looking at the stars. Yeah, I mean, there was no TV back then, right? So all you had to do was like, bro, there's no entertainment. So what do I gotta do here? I'm just gonna stare up at the sky right at night, and then they just figured out certain patterns in the sky, and they probably. If you're gonna be bored for 100,000 of years, you're definitely gonna come up with some theory about how the sky works. Sure of that. Or maybe some aliens came down and gave it to us like the X-Files says. Okay. Yeah, so let me make a note. Book about ancient astronomy. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm learning a lot here. Can you add the links? UgG on YouTube, all the major links are in my description. Okay, so go to the description and you should see the titles of these articles with their links. So, and if you're on Kick, if anybody's on Kick who watches this on Kick, go to my YouTube channel, give crack to me, same handle, and you can find the actual links to these articles that I have. Not saying aliens, but yeah, sure. Okay. The wobbling moon. It does this because the moon's orbit wobbles in the manner of a dinner plate or large coin, slowing down after being spun, wobbling just before it completely settles down. Just as the wobbling plate point of contact with the table moves around in a circle in a fraction of a second, so do the moon's orbital nodes move or precess backwards through the zodiacal constellations on the ecliptic, taking 18.6 years to make a complete circle. In the YouTube video below, it looks like there's a more visual explanation of this down here. So this was, I guess, on the Ed Sullivan Show. Wow, okay. So, yeah, anybody here watch the Ed Sullivan Show? Anyhow. Okay, yeah, so this will be good. So maybe we'll watch it one of these days. Scientists have long wondered, actually, this probably is copyright, like up to the hell, so I can't, yeah. Okay. Scientists have long wondered why the moon's orbital plane is not the same as the plane of the ecliptic. In 2015, two planetary scientists, Kaveh Pahlevan and Alessandro Morbidelli, published a paper describing computer simulations showing that the effect of collisionless encounters, near hits between the Earth-Moon system and large objects, similar to what we today call asteroids left over from the formation of the inner planets, could have gravitationally jostled the moon into a tilted orbit. Their results were published in the journal Nature. Okay, well, maybe someone purposely tilted that the damn moon, or maybe the moon's artificial. Actually, in Transformers Beast Wars, so if you watch that cartoon Transformers Beast Wars, the moon is artificial, and yeah, the aliens created it or something. Or we had 2 moons before, and then one of them blew up. Okay, and we're left with the moon that we have now, or something like that. Okay, yeah. The Earth's axial tilt relative to the plane of the ecliptic is currently 23.5 degrees. Another cyclic angle varying from 22.1 degrees to 24.5 degrees over a 40,000 year period. When you add this to the 5.14 degrees declination tilt of the moon's orbit to the plane of the ecliptic, we find that the declination of the moon's orbit relative to the plane of the Earth's equator varies from 28.725 degrees to 18.134 degrees north or south of the equator. This declination varies over the same 18.6 year cycle, as does the precession of the moon's nodes. It is this changing declination relative to the equator, not the ecliptic, that causes the moon's gravitational pull on ocean waters to fluctuate over this 18.6 years. We are currently in a period when the nodal cycle's influence on tides is waning. See the chart below. This part of the 18.6 year cycle began in 2017 and ends in 2027, at which point the cycle's influence begins to rise, peaking in 2035. Oh yeah. I think, based on what I'm seeing with the cycles, 2030 to 2035 is going to be very tumultuous. So if we're going to have war, it's going to be around that time. Okay. Yeah, I'm convinced it's artificial as well. Beast Wars was so badass ahead of its time. Yeah, it was very ahead of its time. I was shocked. I was like, God damn, what the fuck? This is way too mature, for like some stupid little 3D like animated thing here. A Mars-sized object crashes the early Earth that created the moon. I think that's the hypothesized cause of declination, but don't quote me. Yeah, I think I remember old textbooks showing like different theories too. They show certain things slamming into the Earth and creating the moon or something like that. Okay, you can take. I wish these were better resolution pictures here. Whatever, you can screen cap this. Maybe I can find something better. Projecting the sea level to rise 0.23 inches per year, a linear projection, displayed as a straight blue line in the chart above, we see that the effect of the rise interacting with the influence of the nodal cycle as a thick wavy red line. This line takes a sharp upturn around 2027, then plateaus in 2037. So I guess this blue line is the trend, all right? And this red line is the actuality, okay? Because when you combine the trend of rising sea level plus the effects of the moon, then we get this nice red line. And that's exactly what happens when you do cycles, okay? So when we do these cycles here, this pink line here, that's what we're doing. We are exactly just looking at what the cycle looks like without a trend. So the trend of Bitcoin, right, could be up or down at any juncture, but then there's these influences caused by something else. Something else causes these exaggerated moves. Like it's going down, but then when it hits like this pink line going down, the force becomes harder, right? It comes harder. And then when we hit this, so let's say if Bitcoin keeps going down, this pink line is going up. It doesn't mean that we'll suddenly go up. All it means is like we're going to go down a lot softer or go sideways. It could be that Bitcoin might just keep going sideways into September, October. Like this thing could just keep on going so long and just like make people so angry. But let's say that all of a sudden the trend changes and we go up, then and the pink line will exaggerate that move. And that's why I said, like, if you want to trade, this is the time to do it with Bitcoin, because that's where I get the most bang for my buck. All right. So let's go back to the moon example here. Like I know the trend is the blue line or the cyan line, whatever, it's going this way. And I know the moon cycles look like this. Then if I want to trade the water level, so let's say I go to Poly Market and I say like, I know that the sea level in New Orleans is going to be this much higher in 2035. Well, I know that because I have this chart, right? So if you're a moron and don't do this, then you're probably going to guess the wrong number of inches compared to me. I'll be closer to the right answer than you. So that's just what we're doing with the stock market when we look at charts. That's all I'm doing. I don't know exactly what it will look like, but I have a model, right? I have a model. The chart is just a model of human behavior. The cycles is just a model of some sort of business cycle. We know business cycles are 7 years. We know real estate is about 18 years. We know stock market cycles around 10 years, something like that. US stock market anyway. We know like maybe empires rise and fall about 200 years, right? 100 or 200. I don't know which one. We know that the reserve currencies last about 80 years. So the dollar will have a dominance of 80 years. That will be... So we're about to hit the limit, right, of 80 years pretty soon of the US dollar dominance, I think. Or not pretty soon. I mean, another 40 years, maybe 20 years. I mean, I'll still be alive. So, yeah, it's not soon, but I guess it's soonish. Soonish. You know, I guess I'll still be alive. I don't know. Maybe I won't be alive. But if I am alive, I'll see the end of the dollar, probably, as a world reserve currency in about 20 years. Something like that. So you can kind of see, right? All that stuff. If you know all these cycles and you can figure out where they line up, then you know where the best time to long and short certain things are. So that's all we're doing. No other planet in the seeable galaxy has a moon that perfectly... Yeah, that's right. We mentioned that on John Galt's many times before. You know, that's something I always thought about in the back of my mind. It's just like it's bizarre that the moon, the distance that the moon is, right? The size of that disk lines up perfectly with the size of the sun. And it's also rare to have one satellite. So one moon for a small planet like ours is pretty, and for a pretty large one too. Usually you would get like a really tiny one or no moon. Like, what the heck? Why do we have like a large, nice circular moon? So yeah, that's also interesting. Yeah, that's right. That's right, HB. Yeah, there's some alien work or some shenanigans or something, whatever. Anyhow, so I hope that explains a lot of things for you. You can read the rest of this if you want. What would happen if there was no moon? That's a good question as well. So that's a YouTube video down there that's talking about it. One reason civilizations collapse is degrading infrastructure, especially when combined with difficult climatic or geological events, little ice ages, droughts, deforestation, floods, sea level rise, rising temperatures, earthquakes, volcanoes, plagues, pandemics. Yeah, so all of it could be because of gravity of the moon, the sun, everything aligning. We're going to have rising tides and stuff. That's a lot wilder than before. So, oh man, yeah. Great. Tough times ahead. Okay, let's read some other tweets and then wrap it up. I think 1 hour 25 minutes. Isn't the moon hollow too? We may not have a moon anymore in the future. I think scientists have talked about this too. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. We might have a conspiracy segment some other time, okay, and deal with that. So yeah, let's wrap up everything here with this, and then I can play some videos for you guys to close it out for the last 30 minutes of this hour. Let's see if I have time. Yeah, time. Let's see. The Mag 7 Premium is gone. So not only have consumer staples. So if you guys remember, we talked about this tweet here. The forward price to earnings ratio of the tech sector is now at par with the consumer staples. So we are no longer overvalued. Okay. So probably a lot of those software as a service type companies are valued fairly or even now undervalued. And even the Mag 7, so all those stocks that have led the S&P 500 up, Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Yeah, so all these guys, Nvidia, all these guys who have led everything up, now they're fairly valued. They're fairly valued. They're valued as much as stocks too. So not only so the broad tech sector and the Mag 7 are down in value. And if you remember, George Soros right here, we're at this point. We are at this intersection between the thick line and the thin line. The thin line is the fundamental metric of a company. The thick line is how much people are willing to overvalue that stock or undervalue that stock. Are we entering the point where we become too pessimistic? So we might be at a point where we are becoming too pessimistic, and then we can trade it going back up, and that's how we'll get the most gains in a short period of time, because we're trading the reflexivity. We are trading the incorrect valuations. All right, so the theory of reflexivity is based on the idea that investors base their decisions on their perceptions of reality rather than reality itself. Okay, this is a good place to end it. All right, I should have just put all my money in Coca-Cola. Yeah, you know, if Coca-Cola puts back the original form with cocaine, it's going to be an overvalued stock, and then we can make money. Actually, you can do energy drinks. Celsius used to be a pretty interesting stock itself. I think it had earnings this week. I might cover that sometime. All right, so let's go and play this video, since we're talking about expectations of people here. I'm just going to change the music. Okay, let's see if I have time to play a little bit of this video. So I don't know if you know this guy. This guy is Homath.
So what the hell is this all about? This video is about levels of thinking. It is theoretical, which is fascinating, and it also has colorful jokes. I use this diagram a lot in my videos because it helps explain some of the wild things that people say and do. It's based on the work of several researchers. I'm trying to make it easier to read for a wider audience. This is my interpretation of a model of consciousness that I studied. It includes quadrants, levels, lines, states, and types. Today I'm talking about levels. I want to make a big, long video explaining each level in detail, but for now I'm just going to do this short version to get it out of the way and get the ball rolling. But before we get started, here are some misspelled vegetables, because I'm told that it helps if I'm cute. Here's a cactus. So these levels are stages of psychological development. They have been studied by numerous researchers. Some of the most famous models come from Jean Piaget, here's a snapshot of his work, and Abraham Maslow, who had the hierarchy of needs. Everybody is born down here, and nearly everybody gets up to at least this stage by adulthood. There are many factors that determine how you will develop and when, including your surroundings, your choices, your culture, and the brain you were born with. These are the quadrants. They are different ways of looking at reality. In this case, this would be your mind, your brain, your culture, and your society.
Okay, remember that. We are looking at people's perceptions. How do they perceive the price of Apple stock? How do they perceive the price of a GPU? What is their perception of the future and their past, huh? So go to Homath. You can find it on Homath's thing. He's very popular. Go to Homath. So I put the link in the chat here, so you can go check him out. He was featured on Just Pearly Things, okay, as well, several times.
They all happen at the same time because the mind is the brain, and culture is a lot of minds, and society is what those minds do. I should also say that people are never really in a level. You just slowly develop the ability to think at higher levels as you gain experience, but we all use the lower levels every day. When you have to use the bathroom, for example, that's a level 1 process. It's not a complex style of thought, it's just a feeling or an urge. So some people make it up to higher stages, and some people never do. Most people on Earth spend most of their time in these 4 stages, and this one is only very common in modernized places. And it's the first stage where you can adopt a world-centered level of understanding, which means understanding how people think the way they do based on where they're from. Before that level, there are right and wrong ways of thinking, so you would either be doing it right or you're not, and then they would say you're either doing it right or you're not. After that, it's more like, well, maybe I would think that way if I was from there, or maybe I would be more like you if I lived your life. That's where global thinking begins. Speaking of global thinking...
Okay, so that's a good intro. I'm going to skip ahead to where he gets into detail. I don't have the link to the actual video. I downloaded this video long time ago, like a year ago or something. So when Gary had mentioned this dude, I think that he wasn't popular then. He only had a few videos at that point. So maybe if you go to his channel and sort by the oldest video, it's probably the oldest video or the most popular video
that they shared, as opposed to exert control over your. Even though these levels would step back and say, well, what do I do? And to
this is funny.
Maybe the volcano is angry because if we were living in this level, we would be in small survival bands, and we would not be thinking much about each other's thoughts. We would be doing what we must in order to survive. Level 2 I called Connect, because now you can think about what is in someone else's mind. What does this person want or need? Primitive people at this level will sometimes do rain dances or throw virgins in a volcano. I'm not sure if that's real, but it's the kind of thing you would expect to see, because at level 2 you're realizing, okay, I have a mind and I need things, and other people have minds and they need things, so maybe it's not raining because we haven't pleased someone in the sky. Maybe the volcano is angry because it wants something, and what do I want? Virgins. So
okay, let me go forward. Let me go forward.
You can take a step back and ask, and then she takes a.
Okay, this is funny too. This is
me, so I better be up to their expectations. Level 4 is the beginning of what we traditionally refer to as morality. Here again is the woman seeing man bad on her phone, and then she feels like, well, maybe this man is bad because my phone said so. She's projecting that onto him, having a negative experience, and then deciding what to do about it. I'm gonna break up with this guy. He must be bad because I felt like it was true when I saw it on my phone. And then out here, she takes a step back and looks at herself as if she is a second person, which is why they call it second person perspective, and thinks, is that the right thing to do? This is the first point where it becomes obvious that consciousness is important, because a lot of people see things on their phones or on TV, and it gives them a feeling, and then they see that feeling coming from others, and then they do something about that relationship. So they might begin treating somebody poorly because they saw something on their phone that made them feel like, well, if that's happening here, it must be happening here too. And it's not until you slow down enough to get to level 4 that you can take a step back and ask yourself, is this a valuable process? The way that level 4 typically functions is through conformity and agreement. I believe this is the wrong way to behave. I believe this is the wrong way to behave. Agreeing on what's right and wrong and creating a set of rules and following them can solve some of these earlier problems, but also there are an infinite number of ways to decide what is right and wrong. You can have this set of rules over here or this set of rules over here, and that's where level 5 comes in. Level 5 introduces objective observation as a value. Basically, okay, you guys think A, B, C is right, and you guys think X, Y, Z is right. Well, let's figure out which one is better. And in order to do that, you have to take another step back into a third-person perspective. So again, the first 3 levels are all about me, and then level 4 is, if I was another person in my culture, how would I view my behavior? And then level 5 is another step back. If I was an alien or a stranger, how would I view my culture?
Okay, this is very good because you can see where we're going, right? We're abstracting away everything. When you look at something like the stock market, what does it actually measure, right? It's a bunch of people arguing over like how I perceive a company, right? Or how I perceive a product being accepted by a company. So like, let's say I want to value Apple. I have to think like, how many Chinese people are going to be buying Apple, right? How many of them Chinese are going to be buying Apple? How many of those Indians are going to be buying Apple, right? Because like Apple phones, because that's where the growth is. So then not only I have to like assume what people in my culture are doing in another person's culture and all this other stuff. Yeah, so this is where things get more and more interesting and complex as we move on into more sophisticated economic systems. All right. And especially with the technological revolutions we keep having, things will get harder and harder to figure out the true price of, which may not even be real anyway. It's all fake. So yeah, stock market future values that you think are the future values. What we do as traders is to outthink them. We have to think ahead. I am trying to think ahead of the guy buying that stock. So the guy who's buying that stock thinks he knows how many phones are being bought in India, next year. I am going to try to think how that guy thinks how many phones are going to be bought in India. And if I can figure that guy who's buying those phones correctly, then I win. All right? So think about that. We are going into deeper and deeper levels of inception here when we look at how to trade, okay? So anyway, I don't believe in fundamentals. Sorry. We live in a world now where fundamentals are out the window. Everything is abstracted away. There is no true value anymore because more and more we are living in a virtual world. There isn't going to be less and less of a real world, as you will see as we continue on our journey in humankind into 2030 and 2040, 2050. So that's basically my thesis of where we're going as humans. So that's basically it. We'll be less human. We'll be more like AI. I think that's where the future will be. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun, I think. A fun journey.
I've been watching all these women who date men crash out online.
Yeah, I have. I have a boo-boo today.
Because whenever I first clicked on the first one, I thought it was going to be like a happy ending story. Not a single one.
Yeah, so two things can be true at the same time, sometimes even more than that. What you're saying here is that you're noticing more and more bad stories over time, and that's for two reasons, at least. First of all, the more sad your story is, the more you're going to have the urge to post it on the internet. And second of all, as time goes on, the stories are getting more and more sad over time. And that creates a feedback loop where everybody sees the sad stories getting posted online and then they up their defenses, and defensive people create more sad stories. So what's your problem with it?
Basically making me wonder if the loneliness male epidemic is even a real thing, or if they literally just made it up to try to make us feel bad for how they treat us.
So this is a good example of what they call female solipsism, which is just egocentrism. She is failing to understand the difference between her life and what happens directly to her and the world. I've been doing this for 2 years now, and I have it all in easy-to-read chart format, and I even put it in computer text to get rid of my terrible scribbles. So what's happening is, as society falls apart and we spend more time communicating with strangers and less time in communities, women get more picky because women are just naturally more picky with men they don't know. Most men can find a girlfriend in a community, but very few men can impress women that they have just met, and we don't have community anymore. So once again, two things can be true. The male loneliness epidemic is happening down here in the not people zone, while also these men up here have access to all of the women, so they have the opportunity to occasionally use and discard one because it is easy. Let's see what that looks like.
And my favorite one so far. It's so weird being treated good. He's a perfect angel. I can't. He's fully crying because I'm being treated so good. There were other girls the whole time. It was like, okay, maybe this one will be it. I think I hung out with my future husband. Going to watch him play basketball. I'm so excited. He's about to come over to my house for the first time. He brought her flowers. I love him so, so much. This is one where I was like, okay, this one's gonna have a happy ending. He is literally my best friend. I love ya. He cheated on me, bro. This is the last one I'm going to show you. I'm so in love with him. Oh my god, love my boyfriend. Hashtag he's the sweetest. Followed by, I hope I crash.
All of this is mapped out here on the situationship evasion chart. Every single one of these girls is getting to this point here where they are getting attached before figuring out what the relationship is. And then they say, what are we? And the answer is never what they want it to be. This is how you think dating works. You find somebody near you, and all the rules are very obvious, and you do nothing and the other person does the right thing because they want to. This is a fantasy. Life does not work this way. Life works this way. You meet people on the internet from whatever planet you've never heard of, nobody has any idea what's right and wrong, and then you date anyway, and you get attached before even asking, hey, what are we doing here? And that's not gonna work. That's never gonna work. That's gonna put you in this disgusting mess here. What you're supposed to do is talk first and figure out what both of you want, and if you agree, you get him to invest by giving you something that he cannot give everyone. We used to have rings for that. And only then you get attached. You don't get attached first and hope that the guy you like doesn't have other options. If you like a guy, other girls like him too, especially if you did not meet him through a stable, long-term community. And yeah, men should not make these choices, but they do, and nobody stops them. I did it. I didn't even know it was wrong for like 5 years. I just kept going like, why do these girls keep getting upset? I didn't promise them anything. So unfortunately, the answer is that you need to follow this green line and take responsibility for your own choices, because no one else is gonna. If you meet a guy you like, you gotta talk to him first, and then make sure he's paid up in advance before you go deciding that you're gonna be together forever. If you want to get these charts, they are available by clicking the link in the description. They are on Fourth Wall.
Okay, guys, that's enough. That's enough for today with Ho Math. Maybe I can tell Universal Jones, we can make a Ho Math type chart with Garion for Boit and how the Boit cycle works. Funny, because that's what the not people guys do now. Like the girl and Hope, they like them, and it'll turn into something. I don't know. I'm in a different world. I grew up in a different generation, so I don't know anything. But I think this is gonna be something that Universal Jones, with his experience with mooncakes, yeah, that's interesting. The whole mooncake drama that's been happening. I don't know if you guys been following, but that shit was wild. The last 2 streams. I don't know if Dead Man will ever get to them. Maybe we'll have to cover it on Napstar's show. So remember to subscribe, okay? Be Better Network. BEBETTERNETWORK on YouTube, and we'll do some Boit stuff there, hopefully. And then Napstar's Anita Bong hit, ANIDABONGHIT. All right, guys. What is his experience? You talk about Garion, Ho Math, Universal Jones. Oh, if you talk about Universal Jones, he'll have to explain it. I don't know if he wants to talk about it openly, honestly. So Dead Man will have to study more of the people in that Boit sector that Mooncakes has. I barely understand what they're talking about because I don't know the characters over there. That's a whole nother world. That's outside the Thorpe universe, okay? And it kind of intermingles with the Chaotic Truth universe. Link those channels. I can't spell that fast. It's in the banner. You see the banner scrolling? So you can take a screenshot. But here, I'll put the links in the chat. No, he was meeting up with her in Vegas. So he definitely had some more closer interactions, and he might have interacted with her closely that we don't know about, right? Outside of the one we saw on stream. That man's gonna have to order one of those charts. Yeah, he's gonna have to order more of those charts. All right, guys, I gotta go. I'll see you around. See what happens tomorrow on the markets. I don't know if anything's gonna happen tomorrow. Maybe it'll just keep crashing or something, but it doesn't mean anything about the weekend or Monday and Tuesday. I might have to wait for Monday and Tuesday to figure it out. In the meantime, though, I will probably do more work on the Boomer portfolio, and then so let me share it real quick here. Okay, so we're gonna have this Boomer portfolio I've been working on. Let's see, is this it? Yeah, so these are the stocks I'm thinking about adding. Okay, so they've been doing pretty well. Only one of these looks bad, so I don't know. We'll see if I keep any of these. This is the mainline Boomer portfolio. Okay, so the thing I have to figure out is, when do we buy them? All right. I didn't get to talk about AstraZeneca. I'll have to talk about that next time. But AstraZeneca is basically the largest market cap company in England right now, essentially the UK, basically. And then I have this whole transcript about the UK Parliament talking about AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca basically has 10,000 workers, but those 10,000 workers support basically 65,000 total jobs across the UK. Okay, so it's the largest company in the London Stock Exchange, heavily invests in UK R&D. And so these things kind of like, a lot of these European companies seem to have these boutique style companies. Like Ozempic is Danish, and that we were talking about that before. Maybe 5 to 10% of their GDP in Denmark is just AstraZeneca. So it's wild, right? It's kind of like a Nokia situation. So we'll see. All right. We'll see you guys later.